Welcome to JWL Sports, where I review all the best sports clips from around the country. Now, you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of over there? Because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They say this all the time, that they think we're just a bunch of clowns, that they don't read any of the comments, that we're just a bunch of fools on YouTube, Twitter, and a bunch of no-nonsense fans. I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then also please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and it's turning into something truly, truly special. And I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I really want to build something that we genuinely feel connected to, something that we're proud to be part of and can't wait to engage with every single day. So without further ado, let's get to it. Watching a clip from The Herd with Colin talking about Jared Goff beating the Rams for their first playoff win in 32 years. I watched this game start to finish. It was a really exciting game. I'm really happy for Goff. As I've said in previous videos, I don't feel bad for Goff necessarily from a professional standpoint and even personal, because the dude still got paid so much money. That's part of the game, part of the business. It's, hey, I'm going to give you all this money, and if we want to trade you to Detroit or wherever, so be it. You know, you can't cry about it. You know, you're getting paid so much money, hundreds of millions of dollars, you know, boo-hoo. And so, but at the same time, I can also understand that it hurts. You feel bad, you feel unwanted, and all of that. And I think if you're Jared Goff, I like to look at things through a psychological lens. And so I think if you're Jared Goff, you have to kind of have a love-hate relationship with the Rams, or a love-hurt relationship with the Rams and Sean McVay. Because on one side, the Rams drafted you, right? And you had, the original head coach, and it looked like that Jared Goff was about to be a bust, okay? And then they get Sean McVay, and Sean McVay really kind of turns Jared Goff's career around, and then to the point, gets him to a Super Bowl, and even gets him to sign this massive, amazing contract at the time. What was it, like 150 million, whatever it is. It was obviously a ton of money, one of the highest, at the time. So you can't be upset about that. Now, I don't know how many years later, 1 or 2 years later, they then trade him, to Detroit and swap him out for Stafford. And, the whole thing is that Sean McVay, right, met with Stafford, I think just kind of accidentally, like when they were on vacation in like Mexico or somewhere like that. And they were just like, hey, let's make this happen. And they made it happen. And that could feel bad, right? It could feel like your girlfriend, is cheating on you, right? Has met another guy while she was on vacation with her friends. And then they just swapped you out. And you're just like, what the heck, right? Like that hurts. And you could feel like kind of like, what the heck, Sean? Like you believed me. You said I was great, and now you did everything you could to get rid of me. You could see how that could be hurtful, but at the same time, it's also like, well, you also helped me get paid $150 million, because I'm pretty sure that if you went to the ownership and the GM of the Rams and said, Jared Goff is not my guy, do not sign him, do not extend him, they wouldn't have. So it's got to be one of those things where it's like, thank you for improving me as a player. Thank you for resurrecting my career and making me not seem like a bust. Thank you for making me so much money that I will, no one in my family for generations, really for the history of the Goff family, will ever have to work again, as long as we don't do anything crazy with the money. So thank you for that. So you should have nothing but gratitude. But at the same time, you can still be hurt. So that was my long-winded way of saying is that I am genuinely really happy to see Goff get that win. You could tell he wanted it. You could tell, they try to act like it's not that big of a deal, but you could tell the players all said it. They gave him the game ball. They're all celebrating. They know it hurts. They're all players. Everyone knows what it's like to be hurt, to be broken up with, to be passed over, to feel, left behind. And it sucks. Whether you're getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars, don't get me wrong, that will definitely help you sleep at night. If some girl who I was in love with broke up with me, but she was like, I'm sorry, I don't want to be with you, but hey, here's $200 million, I would still probably be sad. But guess what? I would definitely still be pretty happy also at the same time. So again, it's just like that's what sports does. It puts us in these very unique situations. So from a fan perspective, I'm really genuinely happy for not only Jared Goff, but also Detroit. It's fun. You could see how emotional they were and exciting. I did not need to see the Rams and Stafford win again and see Sean McVay win again and LA. I like, to have the wealth be spread around, honestly, and to see Detroit win. That's just really exciting to come back. Their organization has done nothing for 32 years. I genuinely can't fathom that. As everyone knows at this point, I'm an Eagles fan. And for the last 30 years or so, definitely for the last 24 or 5 years, the Eagles have been an awesome organization, constantly winning, constantly in contention to win a Super Bowl, be in NFC championship games, all that. And I have nothing but gratitude because my dad, who's obviously significantly older than me, has lived through just the Eagles just being awful and terrible and not winning and just have nothing to root for. And because of it, it has made him so jaded and so cold and just, not an optimistic fan. And it sucks. I mean, it does. I see, and I'm just like, why can't you watch it the way how I watch? Why can't you see it through my eyes? They give us such to cheer for and root for and to be proud of. And I could see that the Detroit Lions for the last 32 years have not had that. There's plenty of fans, a huge portion of the fans were born and raised and just only knew garbage. And that sucks. So it's really awesome to see them win, and I'm genuinely really happy. Sorry, that was my long-winded way to start off this video, but let's get into Colin's video now.
Welcome back. One of the reasons I never pay much attention to fans when they complain about the officials is because fans get the whistle all the time and never want to acknowledge it, but they're upset when it goes against them. First of all, I'm happy for Detroit. I thought it would be a close game. It was. I'm very happy for Detroit. Wife's from there. I like Jared Goff. I think it's a great story. I'm a Michigan fan, Lions. We picked them to win the division. But it should be noted, that no call on the shot to the head of Matt Stafford was an egregious miss. Light pushes have been called all year, and then they stepped on him. That in 2023 in the playoffs, that not being called is an egregious miss. And then there's no call on the Puka interference.
Well, first off, I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but first off, Matt Stafford clearly suffered a concussion there. It doesn't take, you don't need to go to, 4 years of med school, 6 years of residency, 4 years of a fellowship to know that Matt Stafford clearly had a concussion there. And granted, he recovered quickly, but he completely, what's his face? The commentators didn't even want to talk about it. So the fact that he was able to even come back out is bizarre. I don't get it. I really don't understand how that was even remotely possible and how that's not even a big conversation topic at all. It doesn't make any sense. The truth is that they were missing, the refs were missing plays the whole game and games all over the place. Jordan Love and the Packers Cowboys game was getting rocked on all these late hits, never called. Jared Goff could have also had 3 or 4 roughing the passer calls that were not called. What about at the end of, what was it? I forget exactly when it was. It was either at the end of the first half or at the end of a quarter or whatever, where clearly the Detroit Lions had to punt the ball when they went for it. The offsides call, right? When they said no, it was a false start. They said it was a false start rather than offsides by encroachment by the defense. And it was clear as day that the Rams crossed the line and that it wasn't a Detroit false start. And that would have given them the first down. It would have at least led to another field goal, maybe even another touchdown. So again, whatever Colin's about to say here is nonsense. And this is what I hate when people complain about the refs and stuff like that, is because you can't pick and choose which missed calls you want to lean on. Because that one play was absolutely should have been a first down for Detroit. Instead, it was, they moved the chains back and then Detroit was forced to punt the ball. And now I don't remember exactly if the Rams ended up scoring that drive or what ended up happening, but obviously the Detroit wasn't able to score there when they absolutely could have scored. They most likely would have had at least a field goal, if not potentially a touchdown, because, they were rolling at that point. And so you can't just pick and choose when you want to say this was a bad call or not.
Where they grabbed and hit him early. Be that, and that, again, that's a no-brainer too. But you're on the road. You're not going to get every call. Be that as it may, these were misses. You got to acknowledge it. You whine and complain about Dallas. You got 2 major officiating breaks. But to me, the story of the game was the first half in the red zone. In the red zone, the Rams couldn't get touchdowns. The Lions did and earned them because Ben Johnson's a great coordinator. Their O-line's top 2 in the league. I love their personnel. Lions have better players than the Rams. I think the Rams quarterback and coach are better, but the Lions won the first half with 3 75-yard touchdown drives. If you do that at home in a playoff game, you're going to win 99% of them. In the second half, the Rams staff, a great staff, made adjustments, and the Lions went from 3 touchdowns to a field goal, from 7.5 yards a play to less than 4. 3 touchdowns to 0. So this game was the Lions' play calling, play design, Ben Johnson, O-line, Goff taking a lead and holding on for dear life. But let's talk about the good things about Detroit. Unlike Dallas and Miami, they're not a fraud. They're imperfect, but they're not a fraud. They play with an aggressiveness. Jared Goff's been crapped on in his career. So is Dan Campbell. And so they play with a chip on their shoulder. And don't forget, these guys started out 4-19-1.
Literally by you, Colin.
So Jared Goff got blamed for everything in L.A. He goes to Detroit and gets the crap beat out of him behind a bad O-line. Dan Campbell, eye roll, opening press conference, 4-19-1. So these guys play with a chip on their shoulder, a mile long, and it's fun. And they're aggressive. And they've built a fence around it, and they're easy to root for. Both have been doubted in their career. The star of this team, and I've talked about this many times, is the front office. Wide receiver, tight end, linebacker, O-line, pass rushers. Man, they got dudes everywhere, and they're not even paying them yet. I mean, they're like Green Bay, all their best players, they're not even paying them yet. So the Lions and the Packers are going nowhere. Now, Matt Stafford is incredible. Matt Stafford, with a lump on his hand, put on one of the most courageous playoff performances. That guy is sick. Matt Stafford is filthy. I hope he's not thinking about retirement because I was, again, jaw on the floor with some of that stuff. But this is a Detroit team that's imperfect. They had to hold on for dear life, but they're not a fraud. It's absolutely a better roster than the Ram. Tremendous O-line. Very good quarterback in Jared Goff. And they're going to be around for a long time because everybody's got a chip on their shoulder. Everybody was kind of ignored, and that stuff doesn't go away. And here was Dan Campbell after.
So, look, we got the winner of Tampa and Philly, which is tomorrow. We'll be here at 3 o'clock back at Ford Field because you guys earned it. Dude, how electric was it out there? I'm telling you what, it doesn't get any better. It's everything you dream of and then more. All right, that's outstanding work. I'll just say it like this. All right? Hey, you're good enough for Detroit, Jay.
Detroit was favored. They should have been favored. I think they're the better team. They had a dominating first half, held on, got a couple of...
Then why did you think that the Rams were going to win, though, then? He literally said that the Rams were going to win. So, yeah, weird.
Breaks. So what? You're at home. You earned it. You usually get those at home. But, again, when I look at Detroit, there's nothing here that I think to myself, it's fool's gold. And I watched Dallas the end of the year and yesterday, a lot of fool's gold. I don't see any of that with Detroit. I don't know how they line up with a San Francisco, a Baltimore eventually. I don't know the answer to that. I wouldn't want to have to play Green Bay again. But that was earned. It's a great story, and you don't have a heart if you don't like what's happening for all those long-suffering Detroit sports fans. What a shock. The worst NBA team is the Pistons.
That's what I was saying. You know, like, if I could understand if you're, been rooting against Detroit your whole life, right? Depending on, what division you're in and stuff like that, if you're a rival. But if you're just like a fan of the sport, that watching all those fans and just cheering for them, again, you got to just appreciate that. That's what makes sports fun. I forget who the commentator was. I'm so bad with people's names last night. But you know how he was talking about, and he definitely romanticized it with sports, saying it brings people from all different walks of life, ages, generations, skin color, religion, and strangers. And it's true, right? It's like why I created this channel, why we're all interacting with each other. One of the guys who I have the best conversations with on here, shout out O'Shea, who's is a Cowboys fan, and I'm an Eagles fan, and it's like my whole life has always been going to war with Cowboys fans, and now it's like, some of my best conversations is with him and stuff like that. And so, I just that is what makes sports great. And so that's, to me, that moment in that game really highlighted that and was really made it really cool, really special. And hopefully you can appreciate it, even if, say, you are like a Bears fan or a Packers fan, or whoever has been going to war with Detroit all these years. And so I don't know if there's any other rivals. Like I said, for my entire life, Detroit has been nothing, literally nothing. And the only reason why I even know what that feels like is, like I said before, because of my dad, and because for half his life the Eagles have been nothing, and majority of my life the Eagles have been great and something. They've been better than the iconic Dallas Cowboys for that matter. So America's team. So and it really changes. It really changes everything. It changes your outlook. It changes your level of optimism versus pessimism. How much you cheer for your team, what you expect from your team. It changes the city. I mean, you can just feel it. The city of Philadelphia, when the Phillies are doing good, when the Eagles are doing good, it's just an energy that is undescribable. That unless you're from a big major city where your sports are really passionate, where your fans are really passionate, it's hard to describe. And Detroit obviously is also going to have a very passionate, intense, fan base, and they have just had nothing to cheer for 3 decades. And now they do, and that's pretty cool to watch. I mean, you saw these guys crying. It's just really, really cool to see. But those are my thoughts on it. Would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on it. How do you think Jared Goff and in Detroit fare? Do you think that they could win any more games in the playoffs? Like, do you think that they would beat the Packers or the 49ers, or dare I say the Eagles, depending on how the Eagles play tonight against Tampa Bay? What do you think? Or Tampa Bay, I guess, for that matter, Would love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please don't forget to subscribe. We are building an amazing community here, and I would love to see you part of it. Also, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. As I say, it really helps with the visibility and the algorithm, and I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, and see you next time.